Hey there, budgeteers. Are you ready to unlock the power of each payday and take control of your finances like a boss? Introducing the Payday Power Planner from New Money Habits. This isn't your average budgeting tool. Oh no. With the Payday Power Planner, you'll harness the unique rhythm of your paychecks to supercharge your financial game. Say goodbye to the confusion of monthly budgets and hello to the clarity of every payday. You'll know exactly when money is coming in and when it's going out, giving you the edge you need to stay on top of your finances. But that's not all. With the Payday Power Planner, you'll easily spot whether you're rocking a surplus or facing a deficit. Armed with this knowledge, you'll make informed decisions that set you up for financial success. It's time to transform your relationship with money and create the new money habits you need to achieve financial freedom. Get your hands on the Payday Power Planner from New Money Habits today and start making every dollar count. Don't let financial stress hold you back. Create a better plan for your money and seize the power of your pay period and thrive with the Payday Power Planner. Visit newmoneyhabits.com now to grab your free copy and unleash your financial potential. Coming up on this episode of the New Money Habits podcast, I'm rummaging through my backpack one day and I see that there's like this $20 bill that somebody stuck in there. Hey, I'm going to go run through the drive-through over here, but I want to pre-order it, so I'm not going to actually go through the drive-through, so I'm not going to pay cash, but I have that cash, so I'll just put it on the card and then I'll put the money in the bank and I'll pay my card and it'll be fine. In my mind, I have this $20, but I just tried to apply it in 4 different areas. And it's like, that's not how money works. It can only be spent once in one area. That's a interesting segue that I didn't, or just a launching off point of something that I want to bring into the conversation that I wasn't planning on bringing in. But part of SMART goals, I think, could be tied to Christmas and holiday budgeting. And having a goal, I did a podcast episode back in July called Christmas in July, where I'm just helping people to remember that we're halfway through the year. It's time to at least start making a list of the people that you want to shop for, the events that you want to attend, start putting dollar amounts next to people's names and those events, so you kind of see what your Christmas budget is, so that you can then fund that ahead of time by taking that number, dividing it by pay periods, so that you could then say, okay, each pay period I'm saving this much. And I have my clients target the weekend before Black Friday as the last paycheck to fund their holiday and Christmas shopping budget, so that they can take advantage of Black Friday deals and do all of their Christmas shopping ahead of time and not have to turn to credit cards for it. So there's a specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound goal for you as a key takeaway.
All right. Bravo. I love that. Yeah. I like it a lot.
Yeah. We got talking about Christmas. So I thought, hey, I'll reshare that very SMART goal. And it's SMART for a number of reasons. You will thank me in February when you're not using your tax refund to pay off all of your credit card debt that you incurred during the holiday season.
Yeah, how about it? Yeah, I agree with that strategy. Sounds really good. I just bought our fake Christmas tree, so.
Did you have to replace?
Well, we moved across country twice. So we moved across country to California like 2.5 years ago, and then moved back a year ago.
Okay.
And so we just got rid of almost all of our stuff, except for like our beds.
Right. And the big furniture.
Well, no, that was it. That was all the furniture that we came back with and went out there with. So it was like a lot of purging, and we're building up again. Yeah. Anyway.
So part of setting these SMART goals is making sure that there is a deadline. We talked a little bit about why that's important, but why is it so crucial to have a deadline for each step? Why can't it just be, hey, I want to pay this off, so it's my focus, and I'll get it done when I get it done.
Oh man. So I am one of those people that like absolutely hates deadlines, but also needs them.
Mm.
If I don't have something scheduled, if I don't have a deadline, it will not get done. And I'll find every other comforting or comfort or convenience or what have you to do instead of my deadline. My husband, so my kids were at my parents' house for a few days, and my husband and I had like a brief glimpse of 12 years from now when our youngest goes to hopefully college, but we will see, right?
Mm.
And we're like, oh, this is kind of what it's going to be like as empty nesters. And you know how many times I cooked? Zero times, because I didn't have two baby mouths to feed, right? And
Mm.
and I have a deadline. My kids will start getting super ornery every single day by 5:30. If we don't have dinner, they will be at each other's throats. Like, it is just hunger. That's all it is.
Wow.
And I know it, and I'm not going to blame them for it. Like, I get hungry too, and they hate me when I'm really
Mm.
hungry. So it's okay. I just separate everybody and make sure that dinner is on the table by 5:30. That is my daily deadline.
Mm.
But my husband and I are kind of like, hey, you want some imitation crab? Like, it's in the fridge. Like, we can just snack on that and go for a walk, right?
Yep.
So so it's if I dislike deadlines because to me it feels forced. It
Mm.
feels like I've put myself in a box. It feels mean to have a deadline, right?
Mm.
But if we don't have deadlines for our lives and if we don't have deadlines for our money and our financial goals, we are going to find everything else we could possibly do instead of the thing that's good for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's absolutely crucial to have deadlines.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I want to encourage listeners to know that, as I mentioned earlier, you can look at what's my surplus? How much do I owe on this debt? Or how much am I looking to save? And then kind of work your way into the deadline. You can look at the timeline and say, oh, okay, if I contribute this much monthly, it's going to take me 6 months. So sometimes I feel like as humans, we start with the deadline and then we try to cram everything. And that timeline might not be realistic, right? So now we've hindered our ability to achieve a SMART goal because we didn't make it realistic. It wasn't achievable. And so looking at what the timeline is and allowing the timeline to then naturally set the deadline. Again, I'll go into a very specific here, right? So if with a traditional credit card, let's say you owe $3,000, your monthly payment, you're normally going to be in debt to that credit card company for 12 to 18 years, making just the minimum monthly payments.
So it's like criminal.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So by looking at that, and if you had $500 to throw at it, now you know it's 6 months. Well, you could even tell yourself, like, I'm going to pay this thing off in 8 months. So you can take that timeline, allow it to drive the deadline, and say, okay, within 8 months, I'm going to have this thing paid off because I'm going to be putting this extra money towards it. It really is just that simple. But I think so often it's, okay, I want to pay it off in 90 days. I get locked into that. Then I do the math and figure out, oh, well, that means it's going to be $1,000 a month. I don't have $1,000 surplus, so now I can't do that, and so now I'm not going to do it. It's like,
Yeah.
maybe you were just a little too aggressive on the timeline. Let the math kind of dictate the timeline, but then lock it in. And usually this what I find interesting is so often timelines usually correspond with something, whether it's the end of the year. So like, oh, I'm going to be able to pay this off in December. Or I'm going to go into the new year without that debt, and that's exciting. Or maybe it's around somebody's birthday or some other significant milestone that it there's like this built-in motivation to do it by that date because there's something else around that date that just makes it special.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So I do feel like setting deadlines is a give and take, right? You start with your ideal or that date that is really meaningful. And I'll give you an example. Like my husband and I want to convert a storage room into a bathroom. It's in the right place. It doesn't seem like it would be that bad. We rent out a floor of our house, and it would allow us to charge more, right? And so it makes good sense to convert it into a bathroom, and it'll cost about $20,000 to do it, which is a lot of money. Like that's a lot of money.
Yep.
So yeah, so we've saved up about 10,000 so far. Had some really good months, saved it up. That's our next financial goal. I wanted to get it done by December. Absolutely. We're not going to really realistically start building until February or March. Maybe, if we have the money. Now, if I don't set a deadline, we're not going to start building until summer, and that's bad timing. And so I need a deadline. We have $10,000. We need 10,000 more. And so it's September, October, November, December. I can't save up, $2,000, $2,500 a month for 4 months. Instead of abandoning that, I'm going to elongate it to February and save up $1,500 to $2,000 a month instead.
Yep.
Okay. Now I'm in a position to do that. We do rent it out, and that's providing this, right? And so that's, my husband looked at that and went, well, we can't possibly do it by December. Should we even do it? And like, just like you were saying, should we even do it?
Right.
And I kind of looked at it and went, yeah, I mean, it's still a good idea. We really should do it. When makes the most sense? And also maybe I should go through and actually budget for it. It could cost less. Who knows? I need to go find somebody.
Yeah. Get a couple of quotes and know what you're actually up against.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So setting goals and setting deadlines for those goals is a give and take in a lot of different ways. It's a give and take for your calendar, and it's a give and take for the numbers, depending, because I mean, you had that example of somebody with a credit card where they have a bunch to pay off. At one point, I had a client who had $40,000 in credit card debt. They had about $400,000 in student loan debt. And so there was this like amazing burden on their budget from both of those. She called every single credit card that she had and negotiated down to a 0% APR for a few months. And that changed it so much because she was paying over, I think it was over $1,500 a month in interest just on those credit cards. It was crazy. So
that's wild.
So it's a give and a take.
Hey there, budgeteers. Good news can only be good news if there's bad news. So what's the bad news? The bad news is you and I have a deadly disease called sin, and this disease causes us to rebel and disobey God. See, God is holy, righteous, and just, and he cannot be in the presence of sin. So this horrible disease of ours separates us from the God who created us. And the bad news gets worse. There isn't anything you or I can do to make ourselves right with God. We are dead in our sins and on our way to an eternity separated from God. But that's not God's will for us. See, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. God did what only God could do. He made a way for us to be reconciled to him through Jesus Christ. Jesus came into the world to save sinners like you and me. While we were still sinners, storing up God's anger against us for our rebellion and disobedience, Christ died for us. Jesus took the punishment that you and I deserve and have earned. Jesus is the substitute for your punishment and mine. Now, isn't that some good news? The word gospel means good news. The gospel of Jesus Christ is that you and I broke God's law and Jesus paid the fine. When we place our faith and trust in Jesus, we get to experience God's grace and mercy. Our gratitude should turn us from our rebellious and disobedient sin toward God, seeking after Him and His righteousness. When we do, God gives us a new heart and a new mind. Praise God for His goodness, and remember, God loves, humans sin, Jesus saves.
You make the goal with the information you have right now, and you give yourself a little bit more time so you don't feel defeated. You put that leeway in your budget so that you don't get PTSD from this, and then you work to just increase that margin as much as you possibly can while you're doing it.
Right. That's right. I was mentioning earlier, we kind of, not that we blew by it because I didn't want to stop there to talk about it, but I kind of mentioned this idea of focusing and prioritizing, because if you say, hey, I'm trying to save up for this, and I'm trying to pay this off, and I'm trying to do this over here, it's been my experience that you don't really make progress in any of those areas, and there's just too much inconsistency, and there's a lack of focus, and things don't get done. So I wanted to kind of ask you and pick your brain about this concept of the idea that for every dollar that you have, you can only spend it in one area. And so how does that principle play into creating a budget that aligns with these SMART goals? Like, I can only spend this dollar once. Let me give you a little example, just for our listeners mostly. So I do this men's Bible study on Tuesday nights, and I have my backpack always, and I'm rummaging through my backpack one day, and I see that there's like this $20 bill that somebody stuck in there, because I can just tell, like, it's folded in a way that I don't fold money, and I never put money in this backpack. And I was like, oh, okay, that was really kind. So I put it in my wallet, and whether it was the same day or the next day, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go run through the drive-through over here, and but I want to pre-order it, so I'm not going to actually go through the drive-through, so I'm not going to pay cash, but I have that cash, so I'll just put it on the card, and then I'll put the money in the bank, and I'll pay my card, and it'll be fine. So I do that, maybe spent $7 or $8, right? The next day after that, I do it for something else. I'm like, oh, I'm going to grab that thing, but I grab it with the card and not with the cash. And so, but I'm like, but I got that 20, so I'm good. And then I do it like a third and maybe even a fourth time. Well, by the fourth time, I have now overspent the $20, right? In my mind, I have this $20, but I just tried to apply it in 4 different areas. And it's like, that's not how money works. It can only be spent once in one area. And I find this happens so often with tax refunds, with clients who experience, especially large ones. We're talking thousands of dollars. You get a $6,000 tax refund, and somehow, some way, you've spent the $6,000 4 times over again. It's like, you only have $6,000. You don't have 24. You can't spend. Yeah. You can't go on that vacation and do the renovation and repair the car, and like, that's not going to work.
Yeah, I get that. And to me, it comes down to honestly, budgeting with all of the information on a spreadsheet. And I know people hate that, and I'm sorry. Excel is my love language. I love it. I promise it's not as scary as it looks. At the very bottom, I created something called a simple, well, it's actually called an enhanced simple budget, because it was a simple budget, and then I put a bunch of other things on it. So it's an enhanced simple budget. It's still simple. And at the bottom of it, I have the balance. I call it the bottom line. And some people will look at it and go, but why is it negative? And to me, and I'm a very fast number processor. I look at it and go, well, because your expenses are more than your income, because your mental math is different from actual math, right?
Absolutely.
And, yeah. And so if I'm looking at like building that bathroom and my mental math says it's $20,000, but then let's say I want marble, which is always a bad idea in a bathroom. So I don't know why I'm saying it. Stains, by the way, like any sort of ammonia stains it. Anyway, so all of your tile will turn yellow if you have little boys like I do. Anyway, so let's say you spend that over and over. That bathroom is now a $40,000 bathroom. You're not recouping that cost like within the year or two. That's
Right.
not going to happen. So building that budget is how you figure it out. And I call my budgeting process is called bottom line budgeting. And to me, it's like, all right, build your lifestyle budget. And at the very end, that bottom line is what you have going toward your next macro goal. So your bottom line goes laser focused to the one next goal you have. That's it. And so then it's a very clear, you can only spend that dollar once.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I like that. The lifestyle budget with the bottom line going toward the next macro goal, the priority. And what I help clients realize, like when we put it down on paper, right? Because you have to put it down on paper. And by paper, I mean a spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
But once it's down on paper and you can stare at it, you get to start to see the timelines and you get to see, okay, you're going to have this first one done by X date. Then when we shift focus off of that to the next priority, you're going to be able to accomplish that here. And then the next one. And so you can start to build out a timeline. And you're like, wow, in 18 months, I'm going to have accomplished these 3 really big goals. And what's interesting is when you try to do all 3 at the same time and you figure like, oh, I'll just achieve them all in 18 months. It never works out that way.
No.
It never works out that way. So being focused, being intentional, and putting it down on paper, on purpose, allows you to really start to see the timeline. And that's a realistic timeline versus the abstract, oh, I want to have this done in 18 months.
Well, it's a very weird thing because mathematically you can, and I know we've been talking about putting it on the budget and seeing it and doing it one at a time, right? Well, you can mathematically put it on the budget and accomplish all 3 in those 18 months, but it's not a math problem.
No.
So here's where we go back to everyone does math poorly in their brains. And so focus on one thing at a time. But then if you do math and you rely on a spreadsheet to do it for you, and you're like, hey, I can do all 3 of these things at the same time because the math said I could, you have to realize you're not a computer. So yeah, you're not AI. You're not a robot. You are a human being. And when your money is going in all different directions and it hasn't become a lifestyle goal, like let's say you've hit some, that retirement match and it's now coming out of your paycheck and it's automatic. Well, once you check off that macro goal, it becomes a lifestyle goal. You're already doing it. You have other money that you're freeing up to pay off some debt or build up your emergency fund. However you're doing it with your goals. If you try to hit more than one goal at a time, it is going to feel like you're not making progress, and it is going to feel like you're going to put yourself in the pit of despair, right? Like your life is being sucked out of you by whatever that machine was from The Princess Bride, and you're gonna just scream so hard one day that your true love will hear you and not ever be able to find you because she's trapped in a prison cell. So, like, don't do that to yourself. Try to achieve one thing at a time, and you won't get your life sucked out of you with every single small decision you make going, oh, wait, but this dollar has to go to retirement. Oh, wait, this dollar has to go to my emergency fund or my credit card. Where is it going? You're going to confuse yourself and then do nothing.
Yep.
So don't do that. Don't confuse yourself and do nothing. That happens so often.
Hey there, budgeteers. Are you tired of feeling like your finances are running the show? Well, it's time to flip the script and take charge of your money with New Money Habits Financial Coaching. This isn't your typical financial advice. New Money Habits is about empowering you with the knowledge and tools you need to make savvy money moves and build a solid financial foundation. Here's the deal. We're offering a free discovery session to kickstart your journey to financial freedom. Yep, you heard me right. Free. In this session, one of our experienced coaches will help you to pinpoint your financial goals and create a better plan for your money. We're talking about mastering your money mindset, picking up practical money management skills, and having someone to hold you accountable along the way. So, if you're ready to kiss financial stress goodbye and say hello to a brighter financial future, then schedule your free session today to create the new money habits you need to achieve financial freedom. Yeah. And it's that burnout again. It's if you have an 18-month goal for 3 different things and you're only making small progress towards all 3, by month 6, 8, 12, you're like, oh, this is horrible. But if that same 18-month goal is something's being achieved every few months, 4 to 6 months, it's like in 4 months, I had that paid off. That's awesome. Okay, momentum. Now I'm doing this next thing. Oh, I accomplished that in 6 months, and now that's done. And now I'm on this last one. And there's just a human psychology and a human behavior component to that you can't account for when you're just trying to do all things all the time.
Yeah. Could you imagine if you had all of your children born at the same time? And to anybody who's like a twin or triplet mom or parent who's listening, I'm sorry, but like if both of my kids were born at the same time and we had to go through every stage with them at the same time, I don't know that I would love them both. You know, I don't know that I'd love them equally. Let's be real here. No, I would love my kids. Of course I would love my children, but they hit their stages in such different ways because they're different people and your financial goals are different.
No.
And they're going to hit different stages within completion in different ways. And they're going to hit you psychologically in different ways. And you're going to have different problems with achieving each of your financial goals. If you tackle it one at a time, you're growing each financial goal one at a time, just like you're growing your kids, right? Mm-hmm. Or they're growing and you're just kind of there making sure that they don't, severely maul themselves. And among other things, I promise I am not a bad mom. And
we're reserving our judgment.
Yes, you can reserve your judgment. That's fine. They're in the other room all by themselves, but they cleaned their rooms today and did their reading, and aren't killing each other. So fine. That's great. Yeah, it's fine. So, but I just can't imagine having 4 kids born at the same time where you have to help them meet their milestones at the same time doing the same, that's a lot. Don't do that to your financial goals. Make it easier on yourself. It really is easier one at a time.
Yep. I appreciate that. Your comment about we don't do mental math in our head very well, inspired me to wrap up our episode with a little bit of a riddle. And maybe you're already familiar with this riddle, but it'll be fun for our listeners too. You ready?
Yeah. Oh, I'm very excited. Yes.
All right. There are 3 men. They're going to rent a motel room for the night. It's $30. Each man contributes $10. With me so far?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As they're making their way to the room, the person at the counter realizes, oh, it was supposed to be a special, and I owe them $5 in return. So he takes out 5 singles, he gives it to the bellhop, and he says, hey, go to their room and give them back this $5 because it was only supposed to be $25, not $30. And so the bellhop's on his way to the room, and he's like, these guys don't know the difference. I will give each one of them $1 back, and I'll keep 2 for myself, right? Because they don't know. So now you have the 3 guys, they each get a dollar back. 3 times 9, because they each paid 10. Now they paid 9, right? 3 times 9 is 27, plus the 2 that the bellhop kept is 29. Where's the extra dollar?
How did that happen?
How did that happen?
Wait a second. What? No. Hold on. You guys don't ever do mental math. See, I was over here going like, oh no, I've got this. It's fine. They're each owed $1.66 or 67. This won't be so hard. Where did that money go? Okay. No, Nino. Yeah, tell us the answer. Come on. What happened?
So it just, when you go from using addition and subtraction to multiplication, it changes the math. So there's the 3 guys, they all put in $10 a piece. That's 30. 30 minus 5 is still 25. And they each got $1 back. That's 3. The bellhop kept 2. That's the $5. But for whatever reason, when you switch over to multiplication and you say, look, they paid 10, they each got $1 back, so it's as if they paid 9.
Yeah.
9 times 3 is 27, plus the 2 that the bellhop kept is 29. What happened to the extra dollar? Something happens in the math when you go from addition and subtraction to multiplication.
But all of it's accurate.
Right. It's a weird math riddle that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, other than to say you're going to get 2 different answers when you do the work 2 different ways.
Oh no, I'm going to have to bring up about I'm going to be sitting with this all night, Nino.
So sorry to have done that to you. I broke your brain.
You did. Oh no. No.
Well, now I probably broke a bunch of people's brains, and they're all wondering, like, how does that happen? I don't know. 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Plus the 2 is only 29. Somehow we have broken the laws of math.
Somehow. Yes. You know what? Maybe we should, if we meet again, and I hope we do, I'm going to start with that.
Okay.
Yeah, going into how math is not broken, because math is a pure science, or a pure discipline anyway.
Yeah.
And it cannot be broken. And so what did happen?
I know. We got to figure it out. In the meantime, how about you tell our listeners where they can find you and what you got going on?
Yeah, great. Thank you. So my name is Catherine Vanderlaan. I am the financial and executive coach at SavorStreet.com. You can go to SavorStreet.com. If you attend a church, I have a free gift for you. It needs to be a Bible-believing, Jesus-loving church, in case you're curious. And yes, I do qualify that. And I can do whatever I want. It's my own business. And I have a free gift for you if you want it. So come and schedule a complimentary consultation with me, and I will give you that free gift. I'm very excited about it. You should be too. Stay curious. I promise you it is a very high value. Okay, that's it.
All right. So I broke everybody's brain, and you're leaving them on a big cliffhanger. And with that, I say thanks again for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll be sure to have you back on again with us very soon.
Thank you, Nino. The pleasure is all mine.
That does it for this episode of the New Money Habits podcast. Remember, if you have any questions, make sure to hit us up on social at New Money Habits and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Please consider leaving a 5-star rating and review to help us spread this message of hope to people looking for a better plan for their money.